Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul, and in this Game2.com video, let's discuss further 3D Mark leaks for Vega, shall we? I'm going to take this opportunity to go through some new leaks, but also to kind of do some due diligence and some thoughts on the whole Vega situation, because it's getting a bit crazy at the moment with the number of leaks which have popped up and some rumours. For example, some new rumours have popped up from Chip Hell and that website, to be fair, usually has a fairly good track record, but we'll go into that in a moment. And then we're going to finish the video off with Phil Spencer and some comments regarding the Scorpio. Nothing particularly groundbreaking, but he does reassure us that everything is right on track. Anyway, with all of that said, let's start, shall we? So when it comes to leaks, whether it's 3D Mark, whether it's someone posting a presumed image of the GPU in question, whether it's the package of the graphics card, whether it's supposed specifications of the GPU, whether it's, well, you know, PR slides which have not publicly been released, but perhaps may be released in a couple of weeks' time, at least according to the NDA, and of course have leaked onto the internet early. There is always the element of, is it fake? Because ultimately that is of course the question that you have to ask yourself. That's why ultimately all of these results are rumours. However, there is one result which is definitely fairly suspect in the 3D Mark benchmark database, and that is a time spy result, and that scores 5,950. It's been pretty well documented on the internet by now, and the date of the particular entry was the 12th of April this year, just of course to clarify. The graphics score hit 5,721 with the total 3D Mark score of 5,950. However, if we jump forward a little bit and do a Google search, you can do a Google search quite easily, and then of the person's name, and then just add 3D Mark to the Google search, you'll see another result, also with a Ryzen 7 1800X, which is the same CPU as last time, just to clarify, with a very similar looking GPU. It has a clock speed of 1200 for the core, 700 MHz for the memory, and, well, the score is 14,412. This is on FireStrike 1.1, which seems pretty damn impressive, right? I mean, that is a very decent score. Because the more interesting part is the graphics score, which is 17,801. Now, I admit it's not exactly setting the world alight, but one has to remember the context of the score. We can presume, if the clock speeds are accurate at least, and if everything is being detected correctly, which is a question at best, by the way, but let's presume that it's accurate, then there is still a lot of mileage left in the tank, because fairly conservative clock speeds of Vega say that the clock speed should be at least 14 to 1500 MHz, most likely 1500 MHz plus, which really means you've got at least another 20% in terms of raw clock speed at minimum to add to the the GPU core. So let's say 20 to 30% in just raw clock speed performance, and then on top of that, of course, you've got presumably and potentially some bugs in the actual silicon itself, and presumably the drivers are not fully optimized. After all, there is a reason that 80% of AMD's driver team, at least if you believe the rumors, are currently working on Vega. Ultimately, Vega is a bit curious, to be totally honest. There's another post, for example, on Chip Hell, which further confuses the message, and whether this is accurate, whether you want to believe this or not, it's down to you. Typically, the website has a fairly good track record when it comes to its forum, but, well, that's the key word. It's a forum. So whether a user on the forum typically has a really good track record with leaks, they still could be wrong. Anyway, the PCB length, this is according to Google Translate, just for your FYI, with the 480 public version is the same, and it's got 64 CUs, 8GB and 16GB versions. There's going to be at least two. There's going to be a water-cooled version, supposedly, and it was originally touted to be released in April, then pushed back in June, but last month the PCB trial, production, all present packaging materials to promote the web page manual are not ready, so that's why they delayed it, basically, and it's going to hit in Computex. Now, I can certainly see a lot of that. The thing about the 16GB version, from what I can understand, is it was only going to be for HPC, so that, in other words, is only going to be for high-performance computing. It's not necessarily going to be for the average customer. On the other hand, maybe things can change, because possibly AMD are thinking from a marketing standpoint for the very, very, very high-end GPUs, especially when you've got the GTX 1080 Ti that's got like, you know, 11 gigabytes, or the Titans which have got 12 gigabytes of memory or whatever. It's a marketing ploy. It's a number, and memory does mean an awful lot. You can say all you want about HPC and the fact that obviously, you know, AMD are touting it to be able to be much more efficient with memory, but mentally people are going to say, well, okay, it's more efficient, but what if a game is just really, really taxing? And ultimately, we don't know those answers, because quite frankly, the results we've seen The Witcher, we've seen a couple other games, Fallout 4, but until we actually see the games running with a whole variety of different titles across a whole variety of different resolutions, across a whole variety of different graphic settings, even then we're going to have a lot of questions. Why? Well, very simple question. So, very simple reason, because we don't know what the future is going to bring. What's going to happen when Scorpio and the PlayStation 4 Pro become very normal to develop on, especially with the Scorpio? Presumably that's going to mean a greater number of high resolution textures, high resolution assets generally in games, higher levels of geometry, perhaps larger draw distances, because the engines are going to be designed more with that in mind. So is the graphics card with 8 gigabytes going to be able to handle that, even with greater efficiency? I don't know, quite frankly. And I guess that's kind of the whole question with Vega. And to be honest with you, it's kind of getting a bit weird, just the fact we've not seen it. I just want a really solid answer at one event very soon, whether it's a specific event hosted by AMD, like a live stream, whether they decide to attend Computex or whatever, and just tell us, hey, this is what the state of the hardware is. It'd be kind of nice at this point. Speaking of kind of nice at this point, very quick message from Phil Spencer. A user on Twitter's decided to contact him and asked him, is there a change in Scorpio's launch date? By the way, this is not in response to any rumours or any negative press towards the Scorpio. It's just him saying, hey, you know, are we still good, basically? You know, are we going to be getting Scorpios anytime soon? And Phil said the schedules looks very good right now. There are no issues with manufacturing. Do remember, Phil himself, this is not in the tweet, but still, he does actually have his own Xbox Scorpio sitting on his own home. Sitting at his own home. I'd love to know what the actual hardware state is with that, and by which I mean, like, how close is, let's say, the software, the operating system, what type of experience he's having. Like, is it basically final revision at this point? Is there any changes? But you know, what tweaks are there going to be? That type of thing. But I'm kind of curious. But I guess we probably won't be able to ask him that anytime soon. With all that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.